earlier this weekend. It was UFC Fight Night 84 or UFC Fight Night London. We've been talking about it with both Mark Ramundi. We talked about it with Brian Stan. Talked about the main event. Talked about that third round. Who better than Herb Dean, the third man in the cage, to talk about that whole scenario? And he is joining us right now. Herb Dean, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm here.
How are you, Herb?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Really appreciate you coming on. I know there's a lot going on in your life. We're going to get to all of it, but I would be remiss if I don't start with Saturday night, and in particular, that third round. A very hectic situation. So I kind of want to go through it step by step. Bisping loses his mouthpiece, and you pick it up, and now he's signaling to you to stop the action. Why did you not stop the action?
Okay, well, because that's the way the mechanic works, is that you replace the mouthpiece during a lull in the action, and he signaled once, and Anderson was actually in the process of attacking him, and for a lot of reasons that are pretty evident, you can't stop the mouth to replace a mouthpiece during a lull. During a heated exchange, and that qualified as a heated exchange. If we were doing that, we'd have guys getting their bell rung, spitting out the mouthpiece to get a little bit of extra time, or sometimes you're feeling a little tired, just spit your mouthpiece out, and So obviously we can't do that in the middle of an exchange.
And does that make for an awkward situation for you, because you're trying to tell the guy, like, focus, like, stop talking to me, and of course, you see what happens to him. He gets kneed and crumples to the ground. How are you trying to get him to not focus on the mouthpiece, not focus on you, and actually, as you say, defend yourself at all times?
Well, that has been, that instruction is given in the dressing room, and that instructions also was given to him again at a championship match right before the match started. I told him, protect yourself at all times, what I told both the fighters. And they know that is their responsibility. I don't know. At the same time, an MMA match is very stressful, and a lot of weird things happen. People do a lot of strange things, and it's a stressful situation. And you do things that you look back on and think, why did I do that? Or maybe, you know what I mean? So I don't know why he did that, but it's definitely in the rules. It's actually a written mechanic that was added to the rules probably, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago.
Okay.
So we were doing it, but it's also actually in writing in the unified rules that the referee is to wait for a lull in the action to replace the mouthpiece.
Okay, and then, of course, Anderson connects with the knee, and then there's pandemonium, impossible to hear anything from where I was sitting, and I'd imagine most people, many thought the fight was over. Anderson thought the fight was over. He's celebrating. Why didn't you stop the fight? Well,
he hit him with a knee and dropped him. And then he did not. Then he walked off and started to celebrate. I did not. He had been dropped, but in MMA we don't stop a match just because someone gets dropped. I saw that when he fell, he was not unconscious. He was facing Anderson. Anderson didn't give him a threat to protect himself from. So I don't know. I don't want to start playing what if. What if he'd attacked or what if not? But the bottom line is he didn't attack. The round ended, and but because Anderson was celebrating, there was some confusion as to what was going on. But I never had any confusion. I knew that I hadn't stopped the match and that the match was going to continue.
Were you worried at all that, here he is celebrating, he's almost trying to convince you or the judges or someone that, okay, look, I'm celebrating, let's stop the fight. It was very bizarre because he was jumping, and then we hear the audio, and you're like, I didn't stop the fight. And then his guys are in the cage. It was kind of pandemonium, right?
Well, yeah. So I wasn't really that worried about that because it was pandemonium, and of course I can't run around and start yelling at everyone to get out of the cage. There's just too many people. But what I did do is I let people know that the fight wasn't over, and to eventually I know that once I started expressing that it wasn't over to the right people, the inspectors, the fighters, that order was going to be restored, and we continue with the match.
Did Anderson or his coaches say anything to you? Did they try to campaign to end the fight?
I don't really remember any of that. It's possible, but I don't really remember any of that. Whether if that was going to be the case or not, I was going to ignore that anyway.
And
so
did you have to check in with Michael and ask him, are you okay? Do you want to continue? Is it okay, or did you just?
Well, yeah. I just wanted to. I wanted to do that because he had received a big shot, and I want to make sure that he was ready. I just wanted to be certain. He had processed what was going on, but there's a lot going on. He had taken a big shot, and so he might have been a little dazed while all these things were going on. So, of course, I wanted to do a timeout and just really quickly assess that he's ready to fight. And I often do that on my own because, sometimes the corners are given such an extreme halftime speech to get a guy back in the game that I want to go over there and have some time to speak with him just for a second without a corner answering me, that he's ready to fight. I want to talk to the fighter. So that's why I took that time out.
This didn't necessarily happen, but I was talking to a colleague of mine about this beforehand. If someone lands a knee like that and then he's out, it lands at like 1 second left and then he's out, you're okay with calling the fight at that point, right? I mean, just because...
Yeah, if he's unconscious, yes, I'm okay with calling the fight.
As long as it was landed... Now, what happens if it lands right after? Like, if it happened, he jumps, but, the horn sounds, so it's clearly after, and then he knocks him out. What do you do then?
Well, if he jumps after, then it was not a fair blow.
Uh-huh.
And so then there's a lot of things that we do then because there's a lot of different situations that can happen. So, then we can start playing if he doesn't want to get back together, it depends on how long he's out for, lots of things,
Obviously, you were the ref that night, not the judge, but you know more about this sport than most people walking on the face of the earth. Why wasn't that, in your opinion, at a 10-8 round? Can you speak to that?
I really don't want to at this time because I haven't watched it again,
Fair enough.
I'm not watching it as a judge. I believe to give a 10-8 round is, you really have to be focused on what you're looking at and know, yes, this is a 10-8 round. So I don't really want to talk about that. I mean, I'm definitely going to go look at it as a judge.
Sure.
And but I haven't had a chance to do that yet.
That is 100% fair. Worth a shot asking. As a referee, do you have any issues with some of Anderson's antics, playing around, things like that? Do you have any problem with that?
No, I don't like his. No, I don't like that. I don't have a problem with that. That's his style,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the cool things about the sport is that, one thing is that you're expressing who you are and what you want to do, and you want to have some fun. And I think some people enjoy his antics, other people don't. But you're not there to fight the way everyone wants you to fight. You're there to fight for yourself. If it becomes something where it's too far, where I feel like it's that it's not that it's kind of disturbing the contest, then I'll say something. But it was nowhere near where I was going to interfere with that.
Did you have a chance to talk to Michael afterwards? I don't know if you saw my interview with him. He had some harsh words. He said that the stitches were because of you. Did you have a chance to clear the air after what happened?
No, I haven't spoke with him. I didn't know he had harsh words for me or whatever. What stitches were because of him?
Well, actually,
because of me.
I have the clip. If you'd like to hear it, I'll play it for you right now, and you can respond. How about that?
Well, I guess, sure.
Okay, here it is. Here's Michael Bisping talking after the fight.
I was talking to Herb Dean, said, Herb, my mouthpiece, the guy, thank you very much. The guy, I don't want to lose my teeth. Contrary to popular belief, the British all don't have bad teeth, and mine are okay. I don't know, Herb Dean really needs to, I blame Herb Dean for all of this.
Ariel Helwani. There it is. That's what he had to say. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. Maybe he's not aware of the rule. A lot of fighters haven't written. Most of them read the fouls, but they don't read all the rules on the mechanics, and maybe he wasn't aware of that.
So you actually
the rule is to replace the mouthpiece during a lull in the action.
Yep, and you.
I don't know if he's aware of that. If you know what I mean, I don't know.
You have a referee seminar coming up, correct?
I do.
When is that?
I do. That's going to be in Pasadena at the Fight Academy. It's going to be June 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And we'll be talking about stuff like this, and we'll definitely show this match. Oh,
that's interesting. So you guys will be breaking it down, and you'll be explaining why you did what you did.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of as a learning tool. I think there's a lot of stuff going on there in that match. Now,
so is this for aspiring referees, or is this for current referees? Who should sign up for this?
People who want to receive because to referee in most places now, you need to have gone through a course that is ABC approved or ABC recognized, and this course is. And so so people who are aspiring or people who have been refereeing and wish to get their certification, those are the people who should come to it. It's a real cool thing. We go over a lot of stuff. We spend 3 days on it. It culminates in a shadow event where I actually we do some practical exercises, but then those who demonstrate competency in all in all the different parts of the course, those people actually will go to an event and officiate.
Oh, wow.
So some of them will be for their first time, yeah.
So where do people sign up? Or how do they sign up?
They go to herbdean.com.
That's it?
Herbdean.com, look around on the page, and there's a place for you to put to ask questions, or you can leave an email at info@herbdean. I get all that, and I respond to them. The course is actually pretty full. I didn't advertise it, but I just kind of cleaned up my inbox, and it filled up pretty fast. I just answered the emails that were in there, but I have a few more spaces. So, would you
encourage fighters to attend these seminars as well, so they can learn? Like you said, maybe Michael doesn't know this rule, or is it strictly for referees?
I think it's for people who want to be referees, because it's 3 days.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff that's pretty specific. If they would, that might be a good thing for us to do besides the rule meeting, to go over all of these different aspects of the rules, and so people can know how understand the judging system and whatnot. And that might be a seminar that maybe some of the promotions might want to put on for the fighters.
Yeah,
and I'd be happy to do it.
I think that's because the sport continues to evolve, and there's so many new things happening every time. I think it would be beneficial to everyone involved if they did something like that.
I think so too. A lot of energy is put into making this sport. A lot of energy is put into the matches. A lot of money. A lot of people work hard for it. There's a lot that's put into cleaning up the sport. As far as for the efforts they're doing with USADA, and I think that for the development of the officials, it's kind of left up to us on our own. And we do a lot of stuff to do that. And there's the commissions, but it's still at this point, I think that as the sport grows, I think that's going to be more centralized, so we can get a little bit more put back in on to the officials.
So we've talked about this over the years, and I'm curious to get your take right now. What's your take on the state of MMA refereeing at this point? Are you happy with the way it has progressed, or do you think that there's still a lot more work to be done?
Well, yeah, there's more work to be done, but there has been a lot of progression.
There has.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think that a lot of the athletic, in the beginning, it was us just struggling just to get officials in there who were competent and who had experience in the sport. That would be the first thing we'd want. And that, believe it or not, has been a struggle to get officials in there who understood the sport. And that's changed. A lot of the commissions now are making sure that they hire guys who have experience in MMA. Experienced training, or definitely understands position and submission. Those are really important.
Do you think one of the problems is that the referees and judges don't get paid enough, so there's not enough incentive for you guys to actually do this and develop new talent?
Well, I don't think that part of it is. I definitely think that compared to our contemporaries and other professional sports, we are the least paid.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't think that our job is by any means less difficult or less important. I think in some states in ways it's even more. There's a lot more discretion.
Sure.
A lot of these other sports, there's things, basically it's about a line, right? Did the ball make it over this line or over that line, or did this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we don't have lines. We're making these decisions the other way. So I think it's a little more difficult. But I don't think that that's the reason why guys aren't developing themselves. I think if you are doing the sport, if you're officiating the sport, you're doing it because you love it, and you're going to be continuing to develop yourself in the sport. I'm doing this interview at the gym where I train, and because it gets better signal than at my house.
Oh.
But that's something I do. I do this because I love the sport, and so I'm always training. I like to learn about what's going on. I'm always looking at matches. I'm always talking to other officials. So that's not it. I just think that I think that some input could come back from other parts. I think that so often some of the promoters have things that they're unhappy with about the way the officiating is going, and I think that we need to develop something where we can have some sort of communication, even though we need to be separate. There needs to be some sort of communication, because a lot of the rules and the way we enforce the rules is to ensure that the promoters are able to put on exciting matches. That's why there's time limits. That's why there's stand-ups and things like that.
Right. And another hot topic, as you know, weight cutting. There's this ban as far as USADA and the UFC are concerned of using IVs. California following suit. And you actually have come out, I don't think a lot of people know this, with a great new product that can help the fighters greatly. Can you shed some light on this?
Okay, yeah. Well, it's called Fight Formula. It's been something that Savant is my partner, and he recognized a need for it, and he was talking to his doctor because he had a really bad experience after rehydrating with an IV, and the doctor told him that it's actually not the best way to rehydrate for something like that as far as for performing. The IVs are good because you instantly feel better. It's quick. And the other issue with it is that because when guys dehydrate themselves so much that a lot of things, not just water and electrolytes, their enzymes are depleted. And that's why it makes it difficult to get the water into their system. A lot of time guys can't even hold the water down, or hold whatever it is that they're taking in down because their digestive hasn't been activated. And so that was, he worked with two really smart doctors. Both of them are Harvard graduates. One of them is the director of applied sciences at the Keck School of Medicine over at USC. And he worked for 2 years to come up with this product. And there's a number of different nutrients in it, and they've been designed to work synergistically together to get an athlete ready to perform at his best the next day. So not only is the water addressed, getting the water into the muscles, but the glycogen's addressed, your enzymes it's addressed so you can take in nutrients and be prepared to perform the next day. And there's some other things in there. There's a proprietary blend of vitamins and other micronutrients.
Now, is this available in store? Like, how can fighters get this?
Oh yeah, you can go to f2fightformula.com. A lot of the fighters, there's been a few fighters in the UFC using it.
Okay.
Cisco Rivera used it this weekend, and he was. I talked to him on the plane on the way back, and he was telling me that what he liked about it is that he was really nervous. This is his first time using it. He was really nervous about being able to keep things down, and he was able to keep things down, and that's something that the physicians who designed it they put a lot of thought to that, as far as for people to be able to digest things. Let alone keep it down, but actually be able to digest. And so it was good. It was really good for me to hear that feedback from him.
And to be clear, the fighters take this orally, because I've heard in the past that they don't want to take things orally because then they get bloated and things like that. Why is this different?
That's why, so we addressed that.
Okay.
That's why guys don't want to take things orally because they get bloated because their enzymes aren't ready to digest. They've depleted all that. And so that's one of the things that Fight Formula addresses.
Okay, so f2formula.com? Is that what you said?
f2fightformula.com.
F2 Fight Formula. And Savant is Savant Young, who we know from, he's been in the sport for a long time, and you have other fights. So you just you can't go to a store. You have to go through the website to get this, right?
Yeah, go to the website to get it. The UFC is going to start making it available to guys in the green room.
Oh, wow.
So
that's great.
Yeah, I just got that done. Well, because, it's new, and so we had to do, they really liked it. Jeff Nowitzki, he likes it. I showed it to him, and he told me that we need to get our third-party certification. So we were working on that for the past few months, and we now have that so that guys, and that makes me feel really good. I didn't really think about it until I actually was going to hand it to someone. I hand it to someone, and they're looking at me like, Herb, what's in this? I do not want to pop. I don't want to take something new. So now I don't have to have that weird feeling when I hand it to somebody that they're wondering what's in it. We have it's through a company called Informed Choice, which certifies that there's no banned substances in it.
Wow.
And so since we got that, now the UFC, they're going to make it available to the athletes.
Well done. One more thing before I let you go, because it was a hot topic, and I'd love to get your take. I always want to hear your side of things. It was very much talked about. The Chris Weidman no stoppage in that third round. Why did you let the fight go on, Herb?
Because there's a lot of things that are happening. I believe that every situation is unique.
Yeah.
Basically, let me frame that situation. Weidman lost. He was in a bad position, and he was going to weather a storm. There was a storm coming.
Yeah.
And it was going to be about. It got heated for about 8 seconds. Is where he's going to be going through that. And so now in the middle of a round, I probably would have stopped that because I don't know when it's going to end, but I know there's going to be an end to it. And so what I'm really looking for is making sure that he hasn't shown any neurological signs, like he's getting dazed or that he's the will's there and the ability is there. So I'm going to have to look at his damage. People will want me to stop it because he's getting an injury. And I don't think that there was an injury that I saw that he was receiving, right?
Uh-huh.
He was receiving, it was what the doctors call soft tissue damage.
Okay.
And that's something that's expected in combat sports. I think anytime you step into the cage, you know you're going to get soft tissue damage.
Okay.
He got a little bit more in a short period of time, but where I never saw him daze, and I never saw the will to fight close out. There's a doctor standing by who was observing it from very closely. I brought him in after a hard round, as you should. I brought him in to take a look at him. He says he's perfectly fine and ready to continue.
Okay, so you actually do pay attention to the fact that there's 10 seconds or so left. I thought the referees ignore that.
No, well, they ignore it for some things.
Okay.
Like if someone has a broken leg, yeah, I don't care how many seconds are. Or if somebody has been dazed and they're unconscious, I ignore it.
Okay.
Or if someone loses their will to fight, turns away, and their will is broken, and they say, look, I'm done, I don't ignore it. But if someone's taking soft tissue damage, those are the hardest things to stop. Like, okay, when's enough? And yes, if it was in the middle of the round, I would stop it. But something like that at the end of the round with a little bit of time left, yeah, okay, he's going to weather a storm. I'll let him weather the storm. But yeah, if while watching him, if certain things happened, I would have stopped it no matter how much time was left.
Fascinating stuff. What a treat it is to get your insight, Herb. We could talk for hours, but I'll let you go. Thank you so much. I appreciate you plugging the...
I hope that made sense to you.
It did. And like I said, we could talk forever, but I'll leave you alone for now. And I know you just got back from England, so thank you very much. Good luck with the new hydration product, and of course the seminar coming up. And good luck this weekend. I believe you're refereeing the main event on Saturday night.
Yeah, yes, I am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the good wishes, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, there he is, Herb Dean, one of the very best in the business. Appreciate his time. He'll be the third man in the octagon on Saturday as Conor McGregor fights Nathan Diaz.